It is the population figures as asserted and affirmed by the Census Bureau that will dictate for the next 10 years what types of allocation of resources are going to be made. Many times at the state level and at the federal level, even sometimes at the county level, when there is an allocation of a resource to be made, it is made proportionate to the census population that has been identified.
George Washington Public Policy Institute estimates that there is about $880 billion spread out through 2,500 programs within 26 federal departments that use census data to allocate resources to states, counties, and local municipalities.
The impact of having a complete count, to know exactly how many people physically are in a community or in the county at large, affects two basic important areas. The first area it impacts is the amount of dollars that flow to the community and to the entities within the community, the healthcare facilities, the law enforcement entities, and so forth. A grant may be given for communities with 20,000 people or more. If you fall below the 20,000 figure, you don't have access to that money. If you're above it, you do. And when you have access to that money, those are programs and services that benefit the people of the community in all of these different areas, in education, in healthcare, and law enforcement.
Census data determines the apportionment of the 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Data also determines the equitable distribution of Senate and Assembly seats at the state level, as well as county legislative seats. Every household will receive a letter from the Census Bureau letting them know that they can participate in the census online, and they will receive an actual code or ID that they will use when they go online to enter in their information.
So it's very important that we do this. We need to make sure that Westchester is counted. We need to be sure that every community in Westchester is counted, Yonkers is counted, Port Chester is counted, Peekskill is counted, and Scarsdale and North Salem and Larchmont and all of them. We think if we get an accurate count that we'll position ourselves properly for the resources that are available and also for the representation that we deserve.
Thank you to everybody for being here. I'm Marvin Krislov, president of Pace University. We're so pleased to welcome you to our Pleasantville campus. We also have the law school in White Plains, so if you haven't been to visit us before, please consider yourself welcome. And if you have, but you want to find out more, my colleagues and I are happy to talk to you. We're also happy to host this event, and we're really pleased to have the Westchester County Executive, a great friend of Pace University, George Latimer here. Yay. Where's George? There's George. There's George. And also the Deputy County Executive, also a great friend of Pace University, my good friend Ken Jenkins. So we're all here because we know the census is very important. We just heard in the film that it's important for two purposes, both political representation and also resources. And we know that both of those are very important to the quality of life and well-being for everyone in Westchester County. At Pace University, we really are committed to helping students and their families get ahead in life. And that's why we're here, because we want to make sure that our students and their families and all the community gets counted too, including our faculty and staff. So we're going to be putting out the messages to continue to be part of the census count. We're very excited to do that. I know of all higher education feels that same way, and we are really pleased to host this. So without further ado, I want to just introduce a great friend of Pace University, my buddy, George Latimer.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we appreciate Pace's hospitality and being here with us today. And we thank you all for coming. This is an overflow crowd. Perhaps right here is the census count that we need in order to qualify. Let me recognize some of the key people who are here. He's been introduced once already, but I'd like our Deputy County Executive, who will be speaking after me, Ken Jenkins, to please stand again. Ken? And we have a number of other people from our executive team within Westchester County, and I'd like all of them to stand up. Commissioners, other key people, please stand and remain standing. All of these are critical components in how we respond. And we're going to be hearing from Norma Drummond, who's our Commissioner of Planning, in a few seconds. We have a lot of elected officials who are with us today. We'd ask them all to stand and remain standing. I'm going to do my best to introduce them. If you're an elected official, I know Mayor Patterson Howard is here from Mount Vernon. Thank you, Sean, for being with us. Please stand. Mayor Fritz Falanka from the Village of Portchester. Joan Thomas, who's going to speak as a village trustee. Ann from Croton-on-Hudson. Who else do we have that's an elected official? On behalf of Andrea Stewart-Cousins, Simra Brandon is with us. We have Dana Leverberg, who is the town supervisor of Ossining, and Victoria Garrity, who is the village mayor of Ossining. This is a test, George. Do you know your local officials? Did I miss anybody? But we're very appreciative. Now at a distance of vision.
I'm representing the Attorney General, Troy Alcott.
Very good, thank you. And Tish James has been a great asset to us in so many areas of public policy. Please tell her how much we appreciate her involvement. We represented other folks. Please stand up and say who you represent.
Representing Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
Very good, thank you.
Representing Senator David Carlucci. Yeah.
Representing Congresswoman Gila Levy.
Have we missed anybody else who's represented? Yes.
Representing County Legislator Kathy Borjak.
Representing Steve Otis. Someone named Steve Otis.
Have we missed anybody else?
We have Lisa Copeland, City Council President.
Yes. Very good, thank you.
Representing Sean Patrick Maloney. Representing Legislator Collins. Representing County Legislator Ruth Walters.
Okay. And I'm told that the president of Mount Vernon City Council, my friend Lisa Copeland, is here. Lisa? Right? Oh, she's out in the hall. Come on in, Lisa. You're a welcomed friend. Come on in the door. There was a situation like that in another setting where somebody was introducing people and people getting up saying, I represent so-and-so. I had missed the initial introduction, so I stood up and said, hi, I'm George Latimer. I'm representing George Latimer, State Assembly. But we're very appreciative for all of the people that are here because this is the first time in my recollection, and I think I've lived now through about 6, I guess mathematically, 6 or 7 of the census years, that there has been an emphasis and a focus on making sure that we have a full and accurate count in the annual, the decennial census. I was in public office in 2010, 2000, and 1990. There has never been an effort made like this, and not just by county government, not by local government alone. There are people in this room that represent educators, both at the higher education level and the K-12 education level, those in the healthcare field, those in the law enforcement field, in every field of endeavor. We're seeing an emphasis on making sure that we have an accurate count in a way that I've personally never seen before. And I think what we hope that represents is the best possible effort toward a complete count. We're kicking off that effort today as we are just about at the end of January. What's at stake, I think we've identified already. The young man there who had a haircut, who's let it grown out since then, identified the 2 key areas that we're concerned about. We're concerned about the granting process, which goes by population data that comes to the federal government and the state government. Even there are times where the county government has to allocate resources based on the most recent census. And to have an accurate census is to accurately parse out those resources based on population and representation in all of the legislatures that have equal legislative representation. It matters in the city of New Rochelle and Yonkers, where there are districted council member seats. It matters in the county of Westchester, where the 17 seats of the county legislature are based on equal population. It matters in the state legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, and it matters in the House of Representatives, where an accurate count will retain, or if we have an inaccurate count, lose representation in the House of Representatives. So these are very important political positions that we have to deal with. Westchester County, which has the image of being the classic suburban wealthy county, if you ever read a John Cheever novel, you know what I'm talking about. I've often used the references. Westchester County is where Rob and Laura Petrie were in the Dick Van Dyke Show, and it's where Don Draper got on the train to go to Mad Men in the city. That image of Westchester is belied by our diversity. We have urban centers, both large and small in this county, and in many places, some of the hardest to count areas in the state of New York are in Westchester County. So in order for the city of Mount Vernon, for the village of Portchester, for the city of Yonkers, the village of Sleepy Hollow, and the smaller suburban communities, some of which I referenced on the film, we need to have an accurate count everywhere. And then in the aggregate, that Westchester County then can compete for some of these things. What we're doing here is to kick up a robust awareness campaign, and it's significantly before the official counting starts, I think on April 1st, and goes throughout a portion of this year, so that we can make sure that everybody understands that the census questions are coming. And I think Norma Drummond is going to go through some of the specifics of this, but it's going to start with an online presence, and we know that there are a lot of folks in this society that are not online. Some of them are, in my age category, or older as seniors. Some are folks that don't have the resources to have some of that electronic equipment at their fingertip. And then it will continue on through a couple of different rounds. And in every one of those rounds, people will have questions about, why do I want to answer these questions? Some people will find the questions obtrusive. When we ask questions about how much you're earning and what is your demographics and things that might make them not want to report. And we know that we've got an immigrant population. We have a population of individuals that just prefer to be off the grid. And so we have to try to do everything we can to make sure they understand what those questions are, and to do this not because the county government is some universal great thing, but that we are partnering with the local governments, that we are working hand in hand with Greenburgh. We're working hand in hand with Portchester, hand in hand with Yonkers, and each of the other municipalities that have a better sense of what goes on the ground in their communities, so that we have the best chance to try to reach people where they are. We're going to talk in a few seconds about some of the efforts that are already underway. You may see a county beeline bus pass by, or you may ride a county beeline bus, and you'll see an ad about the census. You may see an ad in one of our bus shelters. We have billboards that are going to be going up very shortly, and you'll see a series of videos that will come out that will wind up on social media and on local cable television and so forth. That's only the cutting edge of this. There's going to be those public service announcements will be announced in an ongoing basis every week. Some of them will be targeted to renters, some to the disabled community, some to senior citizens, some to child advocates, for those who speak Spanish, for young adults, all different specific constituencies that need a specific message targeted to them. And you don't have to be Don Draper from Sterling Cooper to understand that this is a marketing challenge to make people understand exactly what the importance of this is and how simple it is to complete these forms. So without any further conversation, we're going to start. A few other folks who want to share some thoughts with you. And the next speaker will be my good friend and partner in crime here, Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, first, it is so fantastic to see everyone out here this morning as we get ready for the complete count for Westchester County. It is a kickoff, and it is part of the vision of our great county executive. Let's give it up for him one more time, County Executive George Latimer. When we kicked this thing off in 2019 in April at the direction of County Executive Latimer, I am just so privileged to serve as the ex officio chair of the committee. The real workers, the people that do all of the work on this committee, are the outstanding volunteers that are around the county that participate in our Complete Count Committee. So first, I want to thank all of them. Let me ask them all to stand, because many of them are here with us this morning. So come on, if you were on the Complete Count Committee for Westchester County, please stand up. Don't be shy. Let's give them a round of applause. And again, they're from every community in Westchester County, and as County Executive Latimer said, and you know that he believes, he's been in each one of the 45 communities multiple times. He could just not only name the elected officials, he probably can name a few of the good restaurants around the way. And he certainly, more importantly, knows each and every one is how important it is for all of us to participate in this endeavor. So the committee itself doesn't just meet monthly. Since April of 2019, they created 5 subcommittees that focus on efforts that are special initiatives for around the county. And those initiatives include seniors and the disabled, youth and education, community-based, faith-based, and non-for-profit organizations, marketing and communications, and then the field operations. What they do and the time that they invested, the hard work, will make sure that not only is this room jam-packed, but we make sure that each and every person in Westchester County is counted and understands all of the efforts that have gone on, not the importance alone of why it's important to be counted, but more importantly, to make sure that every place, whether that's in Mount Vernon, which is on one of the highest levels of non-participation in the past, or Portchester or Yonkers, my home small hamlet of the city of Yonkers, which is #1 from a census tract perspective. We need to make sure each and every person gets counted, and the Complete Count Committee has been a tremendous, tremendous point of contact for us, and their work has made the difference. So as we work to make sure that we get everything that is possible, everything that we're entitled to, but more importantly, be able to share the resources and be able to do all the great work that we need to do for Westchester County. Thank you so much, and here's my good friend, the County Executive, George Latimer.
Next, we're going to ask the person who has served as the point person in our county government on issues relating to census. When I came into office a little over 2 years ago, we looked at the existing group of commissioners and heads of different departments, and rather unusually, because it was a change of political party administration, we decided to keep most of the people who we found in place. And we've made some additions to the team, Dr. Damia Harris-Madden in the Youth Bureau, Jim Masano in Consumer Protection, and a number of other folks. But we kept a lot of people that we knew were talented. Vince Kapicki in Environmental Facilities, Kathy O'Connor in Parks and Recreation, Michael Orth was an acting commissioner. We promoted him to commissioner. John Cullen in Emergency Services, because we knew, Kevin McGuire in DSS, we knew we had the talent already there. We didn't need to make a political statement. One of the best decisions that we made was a very simple one, to take the Deputy Commissioner of Planning and make her the Commissioner of Planning. And she has done an outstanding job in the area of affordable housing, which is one of our other major issues we're working on right now. And she has taken over the responsibility as the point person on Census 2020 for us. So I'll ask our Commissioner of Planning, Norma Drummond, to take us through the specifics.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And I'll let you in on a little secret. I am a PACE graduate. Yes. 1989. I got my master's from PACE. So thank you very much, because that has served me well in county government. So it is so exciting to be here, to finally be at this kickoff. It's amazing to think how much we have done this time around since April 1st of last year. And again, as the county executive and deputy county executive have mentioned, 2010, we weren't worried about getting a complete count. It wasn't actually until after the census results came in that we looked and said, some of these numbers just aren't right. But now as we look around, and as others have mentioned, Westchester County and City of Yonkers, the Rockefeller Institute of Policy has said that we have the #1 census tract that is likely to be the hardest to count in the City of Yonkers. We have a lot of census tracts on the list of the top 500 for the entire state of New York that are identified as hard to count. So it's really important for us to help get out the word. I tell a quick story to everybody that I have 4 children, and I won't count any of my 4. But 3 of my children are students. One is a college student down in Washington, D.C., sorry. But she lives in a dorm, so she lives in group quarters. But my two 26-year-old twins are in graduate school working on their PhDs. And one of them was home right before Thanksgiving, and she was asking if I was going to be home the next night. And I said, no, I have to do a census presentation in Portchester. And my 26-year-old said to me, what's a census? But think about it, 10 years ago, she was 16. Mom filled out the census form for her. Think of the entire generation we have of young people who are not aware of their responsibility to complete the censuses. So that's why it's so important for us to be at an institution like PACE. So not only do we let the young people of today know, but we're also educating those students who are here today that 10 years from now, for 2030, we're already setting Westchester in a better place, because we're going to make sure students know about their responsibility to complete the census. So right now, we with the Census Bureau, and we have 2 of our partners from the Census Bureau here with us today, Dr. Owen Borda and Mario Garcia are both with us handing out materials outside there. Yes, thank you. They really have been great in terms of, tag teaming with me at all of the different events that we're getting to. And so the Census Bureau is still in what we're calling an education phase. We need to let people know what the census is. There's a lot of 26-year-olds out there, all right? But there's a lot of other populations that we are really worried about responding. Certainly there's been a lot of information about the undocumented. That's really obviously important. But the Census Bureau tells us that the most undercounted population is children under 5. Who would have thought we'd have to worry about children under 5? But I guess parents think because they're not in school yet, they don't count. Everybody counts. All right, so that's an important message that we really need to get out. So we're continuing our education phase, but very shortly we're going to ellipse into a awareness phase. Census is coming. April 1st is the official census day, but March 12th, the first mailings are going out. And so as early as likely March 15th, you're going to get your letter in the mail that will have the code on it with your invitation to respond to the census. And so we need to make sure that people know these letters are coming. One of the things we identified in our hard-to-count areas here in Westchester is the fact that most of them are areas of multifamily buildings. So the county executive and I are going to get to the building owners to make sure, and the management companies to make sure that we get the message out to the landlords to please post flyers by the mailboxes. So, and to our nonprofit agencies and our housing authorities to make sure that they're letting all of their tenants know that it's really important. We don't care what kind of housing you live in. It's really, really important that everybody gets counted. And then finally, around the middle of March, as these mailings start hit, the Census Bureau will get into what they're calling the motivation phase. We've got to encourage people to actually motivate them to respond to the census. So as the county executive stated, we started on January 8th with our bus ads. So they are inside our buses, they are in the bus shelters, English and Spanish. We want to make sure that we're reaching out to all of our demographics within the county. February 3rd, we're going to start with 28 billboards around the county, making sure that we're getting that message out in a much broader context. Our website has been up and running since December. It was important for us to be able to help people navigate the Census Bureau's website. So if there's something specific you're looking for, it might be easier to start on our county website because we put you to the direct link on the Census Bureau's website for that particular bit of information. So if you're looking for confidentiality, if you're looking for a toolkit, if you're looking for information on a census hub. And so that's one of the important messages today is the next thing we need to focus on is census hubs. There are going to be many people in this county who do not have internet access in their homes. We need to make sure that they have a safe environment with people there to staff it to be able to complete the census starting around the middle of March. And so we've put guidelines out on the table there in terms of creating census hubs. We're working with the library system already. Thank you, Terry Kirshner. And we're working with the local municipalities, with the housing authorities again to make sure that these public computer rooms that they have will be available and will be staffed so that people will have a safe, comfortable environment to be able to complete the census. We're also working with the school districts because, again, what better than to have a high school senior who might have to do some community service hours help a senior who might need help getting to that census website. So there's no wrong answer in terms of what we can do. There is something that every single person in this room can do to help with the county's effort, even if it's just wear a sticker and help people know that the census is coming. The more that we build up awareness to the situation, the better off we're going to be. So I'm going to hand this back to the county executive. Thank you very much.
Next, we'd like Carola Otero Bracco to speak. She is chair of our County Census 2020 Committee. We all know her as an activist of great import based out of Mount Kisco with Neighbors Link, but with a countywide focus. And she is focused very heavily on this as an opportunity for all people to be counted in our county. So Carola, if you'd please join us here.
Thank you everyone for being here today, and thank you especially to Commissioner Drummond. Her energy and effort championing this the census and getting a complete count has really been phenomenal, and I personally have learned a lot working with you. So thank you so much. We're getting close to Census Day, and I applaud the work that has been done by the Westchester County Census Committee. I want to thank my colleagues on the committee and let you each know that I very much value the work that we're doing together. I also applaud the census committees that have formed across the county. But let's get ready, because the really hard work is just about to begin. And there are tens of thousands of people that won't be counted if we don't ease fear among community members, improve accessibility to technology, and provide educational outreach. This is the work that we have ahead of us. Es importante que todos sepan que la información del censo es completamente confidencial. Ninguna oficina del gobierno tiene acceso a nuestra información en el censo. Todos deben ser contados, cada familia, cada persona, y no importa de qué país somos o cómo hemos llegado a este país. Yo entiendo que vivimos en una época de mucho miedo y desconfianza, pero el censo es una forma de recuperar nuestro poder. El censo es una manera de decir que estamos aquí, que vivimos aquí y que somos importantes. Thank you for being here today and for committing yourselves to this effort. Together we can make Westchester count. Thank you.
And as Carola pointed out, both those who speak English as well as those who speak Spanish are the two highest concentrations in the county. But census forms will be available in 20 languages. Je parle français un peu. Tu parles italiano, tu parles arabique. Whatever you speak, most likely those forms will be available in that language as well, which will help us reach people of all different backgrounds. So in October of 2019, the Westchester Community Foundation awarded a grant of $50,000 to the County Department of Planning to support the work of this Complete Count Committee, and that allowed us to appoint a county census coordinator. We want to thank the Westchester Community Foundation. Laura Rossi is with us here from that group. Laura, thank you for your generosity. And this coordinator is providing the support for community-based organizations, coordinate programs and volunteers, a host of different activities with the local municipalities. We're very happy to have Heriberto Contreras with us here. Please come up and share some of your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be here, and also I am a PACE graduate, so thank you for having me. I want to thank our Westchester County Executive, George Latimer, for recognizing the importance that the census has in Westchester County, and for making every effort to make sure that every resident gets counted in this 2020 census. In addition, thank you to the foundation for working with the county and making sure that this position gets provided. Thank you. I am looking forward to provide support, materials, and also resources to community-based organizations and all the local government that is engaged in the census operations. I am currently working and developing events and also collaborate with the Westchester Community Count Commission to make sure that all remain engaged in the census efforts, and also that the community at large participates in the census 2020. I will also make sure that that an accurate count takes place, participate, and make sure that I contribute to it. After all, as we saw in the video, the equitable distribution of funds will count on this. As a matter of fact, local government as well will be represented or will be impacted by the accurate count on the 2020 census. I know that there's a lot of challenges ahead of us, but together, working side by side, we can accomplish this. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and looking forward to meet all of you.
I mentioned that we have many partners in this effort. We want to congratulate and show appreciation as well for T-Mobile, which has made T-Mobile has made available 200 tablets and 100 hotspots to create census hubs where people can receive assistance in completing and submitting the forms. We have some representatives from T-Mobile here. If you just identify yourselves, our applause can be directed at you. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Now, our final speaker is village trustee, elected official, Joan Grenoir Thomas, who, amongst other things, is the leader in the village of Portchester on their Census 2020 efforts. I mentioned before, Mayor Fritz Valanka is with us, the village manager, Chris Steers, is with us, and the village, and it's not the only community this way, but it has made a significant municipal commitment to help Census 2020 go forward. You know that the county has allocated $150,000 toward this task. New York State has made over $500,000 access available for this effort here in our county. City of Yonkers has a separate pool of money that they have made access from New York State as well. We're very appreciative to Governor Cuomo, the state legislature, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, and our friends in the State Assembly for helping make all of these things possible. But most of the work on the ground comes in your backyards. It comes in your church or your synagogue. It comes in your apartment building. It comes in your ethnic organizations when you meet and have social gatherings. And that is exactly what Portchester Village, under the leadership of Joan Thomas, is seeking to do. So Joan, please come and share some of your thoughts.
Thank you so much, and I'm thrilled to be here to speak for the voice of Portchester. I want to make sure that we do give a shout out to our mayor, Fritz Valanka, and Chris Steers, our village manager, and the support that we've received in Portchester from village government has been incredible. Fritz Valanka has been our cheerleader in chief in terms of the census since 2018. I'd also like to make sure to thank County Executive George Latimer for your foresight and leadership to ensure that the census is at the top of mind at the county level. It is incredibly satisfying to see all the ways in which the county has been an invaluable partner and has helped to sort of leverage the resources that the village has supplied our county, our local committee. But most visibly in the stellar committee that has been convened from Norma Drummond, my friend and neighbor, Blanca Lopez, and Carola Bracco. It has been wonderful working with them. And you know, one of the things that we are most proud of in Portchester is this idea about the buses and the bus shelters. You know, folks spend a lot of time sitting and waiting for the bus. And so that's a really great place to make sure that we're reaching folks to make sure that they're seeing this message about how important the census is. But in doing this work, one of the more difficult tasks we have is getting people to realize that it's not just the minority community, but all of us who stand to suffer and benefit from a complete count. It is the renter and the property owner. It is the person receiving public assistance and the business owner. And to think otherwise gives people who might easily submit to prejudiced beliefs a reason to say, this doesn't pertain to me. Or even more harshly to think that this might get immigrants to go back to where they came from if they don't get benefits. So as we go out and we talk to people and encourage them to participate, it would do all of us so much good if we would make sure to say that the census, it should be framed in terms of it's about all of us, not just some of us. Thank you very much.
In a couple of seconds, we're going to close off our general presentation. We have some individuals from the media who are with us, and they may want to interview individuals selectively as they see fit. Please make yourself available so that they can file their stories either written or in electronic media to help put some flesh to all of this. Last week in the village of Rye Brook, we had a press conference in which we talked about some success that we've had in reducing the number of trucks hitting the King Street Bridge. Now you might say, and particularly if you don't live anywhere near King Street in Rye Brook, so what? Obviously it matters to people who live there, and it matters if you're on the hutch going north at the time of the day that something hits that bridge. But I said at the time, if we can't solve a problem like this in government, then we can't solve any problem. Because the truck driver doesn't want to hit the bridge, but they're not taking notice of the signage and therefore hitting the bridge. We have in government today some problems that can feel intractable. And as hard as we work as human beings, as cooperatively we work across the aisle through our different demographics, When I talked to Michael Orth about the opioid epidemic, how do we address that? That is so difficult and complicated. As complicated as is me figuring out how I'm going to actually lose weight someday. It's a matter of personal behavior, and government has difficulty in being able to deal with that. And right now we're in a cynical moment. And that cynical moment, I don't need to go further, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very difficult time. We're divided once we start getting into philosophical discussions at the national level. We have different points of view, and we violently argue those points of view. This issue is one that we can do. This is one where it's not a partisan argument. This is one where it's not about the government versus the people, this level of government versus that. Your skin color is this and my skin color is that. Or this is your level of education, this is my level of education. This issue of making sure that everyone is counted so that we have fair treatment is an issue that we can win at by working together. That opportunity is there. And what I hope we can do on the benefit of all of our communities, from Ossining to Portchester, to every one of these communities in this room, is that we can show that cooperation is the direction of government, not conflict. That confrontation is not the path to success, but cooperation is that path to success. And whether you are in the education field and you see the benefit of it, you're in the healthcare field and you see the benefit of it, you're in the law enforcement community and you see the benefit of it, you're in the emergency services field and you see the benefit of it, you're in the social services field and you see the benefit of it. We all see the benefit of what an accurate count will represent in terms of accessing the resources to do the things that we have to do going forward. And as our prior speaker spoke about, there are things that we can do individually. If you live in an apartment building, whether it's a co-op, condo, or rental situation, if you have a tenant leadership, if you're on the co-op board or you know who the co-op is, go to them and say, let's have a census presentation in the community room or the lobby of our building, and invite everybody in the building to come downstairs. You won't get everybody, but you get a much better chance of that. If you're a member of a church or a synagogue or a mosque, go to the community outreach portion of your religious organization and say, after services, whether they're Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday morning, let's have a speaker come in and have a coffee hour afterwards so that they can talk about what the census is and reach people in that context. If you're part of any organization, a women's club, an ethnic group of people with a certain common ethnicity that gets together, you have the opportunity to say, let us make sure that between now and April, or slightly after April when the forms are out, let us have a speaker come in. Show us a copy of what the form looks like. You can have somebody walk you through what the questions are. Answer questions before they see the form so that they have a comfort level. These things, we can do this. We can do this. It's within our power. And if we can do this, just like the little bridge, not little, but just like the bridge strike issue, we will show that government, when cooperative with the business community, the academic community, the clergy, government can work. It can achieve things that need to be achieved, and that's within our power. Thank you for coming today. Spend some time with each other. Let's go out there and count every single person in this county.